Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar today. I'm going to speak about some pretty cool things regarding American sports. I know that we have some different things in sports that you might not know about, like football. You may know football as soccer, and we know this is just football, right? So we call the European football, we call it soccer. And our football is a little bit different. And I have some pretty cool things to show you too, and some videos as well. And I also have a presentation to share with you guys. For example, and some sports slang. Hello, Victoria. How are you? If anyone can hear me okay, if everything's okay, just send me a plus or a minus. If you have problems with video, the same, plus or minus, just let me know and I will definitely get this fixed. Um, so to continue, in the presentations that I have uploaded, we have sports slang, we have a presentation with about baseball, American baseball. It's like one of the most beloved sports that we have. And again, we have football, which is different from what we call soccer and the European. So with our football, and that's what I'll start with first, is with our football, we touch the ball. It's a little oval ball, and we can grab this, and we carry this from one side to the other, and much like a goalie, I guess you would call this, in like European or Russian football, uh, we kick this into what we call a goal. It's a little thing just like this, and we kick this or we get past the line. And I have a video and I'll show some. It's a little bit aggressive. It's much like hockey. It's like hockey, soccer together is the best way I can explain this. And of course, the video shows a little bit more how we do this. We tackle. It's like rugby too, so it's the same in some kind of ways. And I'll explain more of this verbally with you guys. Also, we have baseball again, and I have a pretty cool video, and I'll explain baseball since it's one of America's most beloved sports. I have just a little bit more information for you guys, and I have a picture of a play for you too, and some slang. So if you get a chance to watch some of the sports and you hear some of these words in English, you'll know what they're saying, right? So it's just some cool things that I can share with you guys. So let's start this more with baseball, and I'll go on to tell you about football, and then we'll go off into the slang. And if you guys have any questions, please let me know in the comments or in the chat box, and I will definitely answer them when I see them. As well as we'll play a couple of games. So when we get to doing sport slang, we're going to play a guessing game. I'm going to tell you, or I'm going to ask what you may think what this is, and I will explain what this is after I give you a moment to tell me what you think this means. So maybe you can guess, maybe you know, maybe you have something that is close to the same or similar. For example, like soccer. Again, I apologize if you don't know this word soccer. It's just what we as Americans call football or what I'm sorry, what you may call football, we call this soccer. Again, um, so let me start and let me pull up my presentation because it's just a little facts about baseball, and you can follow along with me too, as well as in the presentation box that is American baseball. So one moment, let me pull up for you guys. All right, and if I don't see your question, just give me a brief moment, and I will answer as soon as I see this. Okay, so some baseball facts. It's the first slide that we have, and there's some cool pictures here too. So if you don't know what this is, some pictures will explain. And if you want to know more about the sport of how this is, ask me and I'll explain because some baseball is can be some kind of complicated as far as rules and regulations, right? So let's get started. Baseball facts. The first World Series, and before I continue, a World Series is where all teams in America come together and they play for a championship, or in championship is like a title to be the best, right? A competition. So when you see World Series in sports, it's about baseball. So just to tell you what that is, that was played between Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is a pretty interesting state. It's actually a state that a lot of our country was founded on. But so to let you know, every state has their own team in baseball and basketball and in football, right? So Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania's team and Boston, Massachusetts team in 1903. That was the first World Series, and it was 9 game series. So to tell you what a 9 game series is a series. It means one game is a mini games, and they call this a series because after one game is finished, another one will start. I'm sure you can relate with soccer, for example, right? Like the World Cup. It's much like this. And won the series 5-3. So to say 5-3 means 5 wins and 3 losses. So they did okay. They lost some, but they still came out to be champions, right? All right. So let's see here. So to continue, the unofficial. In this word, let's see. Can does anybody know what the word unofficial means or official? Can you guess what that word means? And I'll just give you just a brief moment. Miss Victoria, do you know what official or unofficial means? So you have official, which means it's normal, right? Think of like if you go to a state official, it's more uh, regulatory, right? Think of like a police officer. He is an official of the state. So it means everyone knows, and it's standard. It's normal. Unofficial means that it doesn't have a label. So official has a label, unofficial does not have a label. So the unofficial anthem, and this word too, anthem, of the American baseball game, or of American baseball. So what that means is an anthem is a song. For example, like the national anthem of America, the Star Spangled Banner. So, but since we're speaking about sports, they have their own song, and I shared this video too, as well in the presentation, so you can hear the song, and I'll go into more about that in a brief moment. Okay, it's "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." All right, so that's the national or the unofficial anthem. "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," and it's a traditionally sung during the middle of the seventh inning. So the seventh inning is like halfway between the game. It's almost towards the end of the game. Um, so that's what it is. So you have one, two, three, four, 5 innings. It continues until one of the team it's just unbeatable. And it was written in 1908 by a gentleman named Jack Norworth and Albert von Tilzer, and both of whom had never been to a baseball game. So they'd never been to this baseball game, but they were able to write this song. How cool is that, right? That's pretty cool. So again, and I do want you guys to check out the videos so you can hear this too. Let's see. All right. So let's go forward. Oh, it looks like it didn't upload, and I'll put for you guys. So they never been to this game, but they were able to write this. Um, So to get a little bit more with the next slide, it would be slide 3 for you guys. The lifespan, right? So we're talking about span is how long this is. It's the span. So from beginning to end. So the lifespan of a Major League Baseball is 5 to 7 pitches. So this ball, and to show what a pitch is, it's how many times you can throw this. That's called a pitch in baseball. To pitch this ball. So that's how long this ball lasts. It's only 5 to 7 throws. Um, so that's not really that long, right? And now during a typical game, approximately 70 balls are used. So you got, if you understand this, it's where they use this a few times and the ball is just compromised. Can anybody tell me what they think compromise means? No? Compromised means you can use this like destroyed or not available to use again, right? So a compromised mission means it is ruined, right? So think of ruined when you hear this word compromised. And I'm going to write this too. All right, so compromise, like ruined, not able to be used, right? It's just a quick way, quick definition for you guys, an easy way to remember. Now, there's a guy named Jimmy Purcell, and when he hit his 100th home run, and this word, home run, when they hit this ball with a bat, and so a piece of wood, and so you have like what we would call like a triangle. Think of a triangle on a field or a piece of land. And when the guy with the bat is here and the guy with the ball, and when he hits the pitcher, so when he throws his ball, the guy hits and he runs around to come back to home base, right? So when this goes away from the field into the crowd of people, it's called a home run because no one could get this ball to throw back. When the behind the reason of the game is someone hits this with a bat, the ball goes out, they try to get this to what they call bases. There's 3 bases plus home base, and that's where the bat starts with. So when this ball goes away, uh, the other team tries to get and throw to each base to get this person out, to take him out of the game. So they have to touch him with this. But when a home run happens, they can't do this. So he's able to run all around back to home base. So it's first base, second base, and third base. And home plate is what they call this because there's little plates on the ground. And if you guys have questions too, with what, if you want to know more specifics, more information, exactly how the game is played, I would be absolutely more than happy to go there and explain more of this. Uh, so, um, so when he got his home run, it was really cool. So in home run, and that was in 1963. He ran the bases in the right order, but he was facing backwards to celebrate. So he knew that no one could get him because they couldn't get this ball. So he ran backwards. That's pretty confident, right? Uh, and in this next name I'm about to use, if you know baseball, and it's also his picture to the right, is the most famous baseball player ever, even to this day. Even a baseball signed by this guy, is worth millions of dollars, lots of money, lots of money. Baseball cards, they do this, they make these pictures with their statistics, or their status on this. And this baseball card, if you have this, you can be rich from this because he's so famous and everybody wants this. And his name is Babe Ruth. And during this time in 1930 and 1931, his top salary was $80,000. And to tell you about 1930 and 31, $5,000 can buy a new car. It can buy home, almost a house. It's a lot of money, just $5,000. And we're talking about gas was like 2 or 5 cents. I have to find more information exactly how much the prices were during this time. But $80,000 was a lot, and that's a year. So that's a lot of money for somebody. So it just kind of gives you perspective of really how much. No, Victoria, not anymore. When I was younger in school, I played some football, or I'm sorry, baseball. Uh, and to tell you, when they throw this ball, sometimes you get hit by this. And to kind of give you an idea how fast this ball is going, it's around 120, 130 kilometers an hour. So it's a fast ball and it's hard. It's not like a soccer ball or a football. It's like a rock almost. And you'll get black eyes, you'll lose teeth, some things. So if you get hit by this, it's very painful. Uh, I was around 10 years old, and I was very clumsy, or I didn't have direction. I didn't have motor skills, you could say. So I would get hit by this a lot. So I finally said, you know what? I'm done with baseball, and I found interest in other things, other sports like football, for example. I did play football, but baseball was just for me. It was not so fun at that age. Now I do regret. I wish because I enjoyed this now that I'm older and I have some what we call tough skin, right? But in general, what we did, even now, is what I like to do is I like to take this ball and we throw this, and we have a special glove. It's what we call a baseball mitt, and they play with this too. This ball will come and you catch. But when you're not playing the game, you're just like, for example, a father and a son will throw this back and forth and catch and throw again. And you'll see this too in the video that I shared, the most memorable moments uh, with some of this. And you'll see some of how this is done, how they catch, some of these amazing catches. And home runs, you'll see home runs too. You'll see a lot of cool examples of this. Uh, so, so no, I don't play baseball, but I do like to catch. It's what we call playing catch. Now, telling you more about Babe Ruth, adjusted for inflation, that's equivalent of a little more than $1.1 million today, which is still a lot of money for 1 year, right? I know, I wish to do a sport and something that you like and that's so fun, or that can be fun, to get paid a lot of money to do, that's like super cool to me. Uh, and that's something cool too, and it's what we tell. If you do a job that you love, that you really enjoy, it's not a job at all. You just get paid to do your hobby, right? That's very cool to me. But we have that saying. To continue about a little bit more about baseball, and I'll continue this up. And guys, I do want to share as much information as I can. If you have questions, please please ask me. If I don't finish all the information, please follow along too and read. And it's here for you to read and take your time with. If you have questions about a word, let me know. If you don't understand something, let me know too, because I'd love for you to really understand, because it shows a lot of how of our American culture. And that if you guys remember some information I've shared with you before, that during these times, 1930s was very hard for Americans. So they had to find a way to take their stress, uh, take their mind off some of these things. And sports was a good way to do this. You weren't worried about not having money. You weren't worried too much about having, some of these things that had your mind was away. Of course, TV was just coming, so not everyone had a television, so they could hear this on the radio, how this game was played. So now that started. Now that baseball did start in the U.S., now it has spread worldwide. And today, more than 100 countries are part of the International Baseball Federation. Now, Japan has the largest pro baseball league outside of the United States. So that's super cool. So even though it started, like other countries have taken the sport. Now, New York, they have their team called the Yankees. They've won 27 World Series titles. So they've won 27 championships, which is more than any other team. So they're a very well-known team. You'll see New York Yankee shirts and hats, and you'll see the NY everywhere. And it comes from baseball, actually, if you didn't know. Um, so now in baseball's the Dodgers, that's their team is from Los Angeles, California. But they were actually originally founded in Brooklyn, and that's New York. And that's named after the legendary skill that local residents showed at dodging the trolley streetcar system. So they would stand there and they would get out of the way. So that's how they got the name, the LA Dodgers. So just a little information. And here's a field. If you guys look too on slides 3 and 4, you'll see like a baseball field and the little triangle I was telling you about, and people in the stadium or a stadium. So now since we're talking about the stadium and the park and the field, you hear me use these words. It's all the same place: park, field, and stadium. I'll give you some cool facts about this too. The oldest baseball park still in use is Fenway Park, and that's the home field of the Boston Red Sox, which debuted in 1912. So this word debuted, it means to begin, which showed the world to show. Like think of your favorite movie, uh, the debut, right? Say the Justice League. If you guys know what the Justice League is, it debuted. Uh, I'm not sure the date, but it tells you the day that the whole world's seen. So the Boston Red Sox, Boston, Massachusetts. So they showed the whole world who they were in 1912. And now, during the World War II, the U.S. military designed a grenade, so an explosive ball that blows metal everywhere, right? We've seen in movies them throw this. But the U.S. military designed a grenade to the size and weight of a baseball, since any young American man should be able to properly throw it. So that way, baseball had its had its way of really influencing the military. So it shows how strong that this sport has really influenced even wartime. So there's this guy named Jim Abbott, and he's what a pitcher. If you guys remember what a pitcher is a person that throws the ball, and the other person at the end hits this with this wood, which is called a bat. Not a bat like a bird at night, but a bat is called a wooden stick. So they would hit this, and of course, as I explained, this would go outside. These people would try to catch this and get back to the bases. Remember? Is everyone following okay? And if I'm speaking too fast, tell me, and I will slow down to try to explain. It does get me excited. I really do love telling about a lot of. I love to tell a lot about American culture, especially when it comes to sports in general. So if I do speak too fast, let me know. If I need to slow down, plus or minus, let me know. But Jim Abbott, he was born without a right hand, and he had a 10-season baseball career. So 10 years he was able to play, and that's including throwing a no-hitter. So remember I told you this pitcher throws this ball and you strike this with a stick or what we call a bat. When you do this and you don't hit this ball after he throws, it's called a strike. And you get 3 strikes. So if you miss this ball 3 times, you're out. You go and another player comes. This can only happen 3 times. It's like the rule of three. So this one person gets to try 3 times, he misses. Next person, he misses 3 times, he's out. One more, He misses 3 times, it's finished. Then the next team, they they trade places. That's how that goes. So a no hitter means that no one hit this ball. So being he didn't have this right hand. So the New York Yankees is who he played for, and during this game, it was during Cleveland in 1993. So without this, he was able to throw this, and no one was able to hit this ball with his left hand. So it shows really because with the sport and dynamics, it makes it hard to really get speed. Remember, I told you that sometimes it's 120 kilometers, it's or 100 miles an hour. If I have the math wrong, please forgive me. To tell you more about the teams, visiting teams, which say if they played in Pittsburgh or Massachusetts or Texas, anywhere of these teams, if they played in this place, this team, that's their home place. So any team, say from New York came to Texas, they are called visitors, visiting teams. They would wear, at least mostly of them, gray uniforms, so fans could easily tell which of the visiting team and the home team. Now, that tradition dates back to the 1800s, when traveling teams did not have time to launder their uniforms, and eventually they just wore gray to hide the dirt. This is a little cool information, right? Is there any words that I have said that maybe you don't know? Is there anything? Uh, Remember, there was no hitters, pitchers. What about consequently? Does anyone know what consequently means? Or what do you think consequently means? No? Consequently means like consequence. It means remember there, like, how to say. So every action has a consequence, right? So a to and fro, if you do something, you have a result. So consequence is like a result. You know, right? So consequences, like you can have bad consequences, you can have good consequences, right, Miss Victoria? So if you do a good job, you can have a good consequence by having more people with your business, or you can have more money, or someone, for example, yes, thank you. Is that how you say this in Russian? So, to give a little bit more information with you guys, let's see. It's just one more slide, and we'll go on from the football. Remember, I told you I wanted to share some football and some slang. Now, the team with the most players in the Hall of Fame is the San Francisco Giants, who have 24 Hall of Famers. So to be in the Hall of Fame, you have to be an amazing player. You have to be an amazing sports person, and it's very hard to get into. Now, while baseball games today last about 3 hours, the fastest game ever played in Major League history lasted just 51 minutes, and that was in September 28th, 1919. And that was the New York Giants defeated the Phillies, the Philadelphia Phillies, 6-1 at the Polo Grounds. So that was a fast game. That was 1/3 of the time to do this. So now the record for the least amount of people at a baseball game was set in 2011 when the Florida Marlins. Remember, I told you guys that I'm from Florida. Now the Marlins is a fish, but it's their mascot. They played the Cincinnati Reds, and now due to the hurricane, just 347 people attended the game. So uh, during this game, you can set thousands and thousands of people. Only 347 came to this game, but it broke a record. Now, the most valuable baseball card ever uh, is the 1909 Honus Wagner baseball card. It's worth about $2.8 million. I remember I told you about Babe Ruth. This guy is just as good. He's not as famous, but he was a good player, and it's older than Babe Ruth, so of course it makes more money. Now, baseball bats in the minor and major leagues. Minor, okay, so to tell you minor, a minor league is not so big, and major is a big league. It means it's more famous. They're made from wood. Now, however, metal bats are used at the college level, so universities, because these sports you can play in elementary school, high school, and colleges. And there's also the major league, which is like where you get paid a lot of money, right? Everybody wants to do major league. So, uh, yes, so now when a player hits the sweet spot, it's what we call the sweet spot, like the perfect spot. Or I'm sorry, I gotta have how the metal bats are used at the college level. Now, a player increases his chance of hitting a home run if he hits the baseball at the bat's sweet spot. Now, the sweet spot is an area between 5 and 7 inches from the barrel end of the bat, which is the big spot. Because it gets big, it gets smaller. Now, when a player hits a sweet spot, there is less vibration, and the bat makes a satisfying crack sound. Quack! And you hit this. So that's actually a little trick. Like I told you how to really do this. Now, to achieve the crosshatch diamond pattern, it's a little hard to describe on the baseball field. It's this. Remember, I told you it was the triangle on a baseball field. Rollers on a mower, which cuts grass, and a roller is this thing that makes paint, for example. Push the grass slightly forward, similar to running a vacuum. Remember to suck dirt back and forth on a plush carpet. Now, blades bend away from the viewer capture more light and appear paler. So it makes this color. Now, grass blades that are bent towards the viewer look darker. So if you'll see this field, it shows like different lines. And so that's just a little bit about baseball. Again, if you guys want more information, let me know, and I'll be more than happy to explain more about innings, this diamond hatch, and some things. Right? So let me get out of here. Does anyone have any questions so far? No? Okay. And I'll go on to, let's see. Uh, and of course, the video, and I'm going to share this too. I'm going to go into sports slang, so you'll know a little bit more about the slang. But to let you know about football, just in case I don't have enough time to cover the football memorable moments is actually from the state from where I'm from, Alabama. It's not like a professional, like Super Bowl. It's about just the college level. And since it's from Alabama, I'm very proud of them. It's one of the best in the country. So the video, if you get a moment to watch, please do, and it will show more about Alabama. And that's something that Alabama is very proud of. They're very proud about football, college football. NFL, we don't have a team, but the college level we do because we send our sons or our daughters there. So rewatch this and people go crazy. It takes several hours to go from one place to the other because people are traveling to go see this game in Alabama. And they're drinking and having fun. And to let you know too about some foods, like for at the baseball games, it's hot dogs, right? It's mostly hot dogs and chips and popcorn, nachos and cheese, and it's a lot of very cool different what we call finger foods because you eat this with your fingers. And so we have this and Cracker Jacks. If you guys don't know what a Cracker Jack is, it's like popcorn with caramel on this. It's very tasty. And again, the song "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" it'll share some some really cool snacks and some tasty items that we have. So let's go to sports slang, right? About sports slang. Uh, that way, when you go to watch, you'll know more about when you hear these words when they use. So let's see here. All right. So as I'm pulling this up to tell you about the slang, does anyone have any questions? No? Okay, well, definitely leave me, if you do, let me know and I'll answer as soon as I see, okay? All right, so sports slangs, right? Knocked it out of the park. Remember, I told you what a home run was? It's when this ball leaves the park or the field. Two of the greatest feelings in the world are walking out of a meeting room after nailing a presentation and trotting around the bases after hitting a home run. The phrase knocked it out of the park refers to more than just the home run. It implies that it was such a success that you had time to make a slow, satisfying victory lap around the bases or the office. So if you do a really good job, your boss can tell you, great job, you knocked it out of the park. It's the same, that comes from baseball. So it's a little bit of slang there. You see everywhere. Uh, Game of inches is the next one, and that's attributed or given to the legendary Green Bay Packers coach. Remember? So now this is mixing some football and baseball together. Green Bay Packers, another great team. Their coach, Vince Lombardi, and they immortalized. So to be immortalized means to never, in this situation, means that it can't be killed, it can't be forgotten. By Al Pacino in Any Given Sunday. That's a very great movie, and I would suggest this. And a game of inches justifies why the littlest detail matters in football and business. Now, the difference between raising a championship banner and being considered a failure is often the smallest margin. Tell me, what do you think margin means? Miss Victoria, do you know what margin means? Or Anna, what about you? Yana, do you know what margin means? Or what's your guess? What do you think? So a margin is from what you would have to judge. So from say small or large, a margin. So it's like it can be anywhere, right? So to go on to some more slang for you guys, lost a step. Now that was popularized. So you'll see this word too, popularized. So take "ized" from this word as popular, right? So it means made popular. And that was by boxing. And scribes in the so that was popular, made popular by boxing scribes in the early 20th century, losing a step. And this associated or compared to with a high level employees deteriorating, or think of deteriorating as losing, getting smaller, skill set in the corporate world. Now, depending on who the person is, this could be a damaging blow to the individual or the entire company. Now, a boxer who has lost a step is more likely to end up on their back than win a prize fight. So um, think of it this way: when you hear "lost a step" in a business meeting or in your company, that you are taken back. So if you're gaining a step, you're moving forward. If you're losing a step, you're going backwards. So you're losing. So it's the same. Again, guys, too, if I'm going too fast, let me know. And also, if you look in the presentation, you'll see what I've written for you guys as well. So you can take your time and read this too. uh, to really get a better understanding. Now, uh, Grammarly runs on powerful algorithms developed by the world's leading linguists, and it can save you from misspellings and hundreds of types of grammatical and punctuation mistakes in words. Um, I'm sorry, let's see here. Now, one thing that I think you will really enjoy this slang is the ball is in their court. In your business to business dealings, it's common for the one company to be lagging behind or not meeting expectations behind in the decision making process. Now, or just not getting where they need to be. Now, when you've done everything on your end to make a decision, the ball is now in their court, which stems from a stalling tactic in both tennis and basketball. Now, this means it's up to them to take the next step. So once you hit this on their side of the court, either they can do something about this. Only they can. Okay. So the next one, slam dunk. Slam dunking, again, here's this word, popularized. Uh, so it was made popular in the mid 1970s. NBA, National Basketball Association, as an electrifying way to score points. It's arguably evolved into sport's most celebrated play. At the office, slam dunks can refer to just about any guaranteed success, ideas, an execution, or a new hire. So you can say, ah, that interview was a slam dunk. It means that in the corporate world, that it was a success. And so you were able to get this. So in basketball, to do a slam dunk, you get a point. It's a guaranteed point that you have on your scoreboard. So in the corporate world, they use this as well. So one moment here. All right. All right. Next man up. This is the next one. Now, whether a talented staffer leaves for a better job or a key team member suddenly has to go on jury duty, every business deals with the concept of the next man up. Now, it means the show must go on. No matter who is assuming the void, the phrase has recently been ingrained or put together in society by notably, though, through coaches like Bill Belichick and Jim Harbaugh. It's just a couple of famous people in some of these sports. Now, star players sometimes come into their own using this philosophy. The same thing happens in an office. So, another awesome slang word that you hear a lot is ice water in their veins. The most successful athletes are cool under pressure. In other words, they have ice water in their veins. So it means when you start to think of yourself, when you are in a very stressful situation, your blood pressure gets high, your temperature gets up. But when people are really cool and really relaxed in such stressful situations, they're cool, they're not sweating. So it's like ice water in their veins. I kind of put this for you guys. Now, superstar athletes like quarterback Tom Brady and legendary basketball player Michael Jordan were at their best in the fourth quarter with the outcome of the game on the line. Now, that means like in the moment when you really need to do great and you need to make that shot and you really need to save your team's skin, you could count on them. They were there. So they had the ice water in their veins. So they were able to do this. So that's what made them such great, legendary players. Michael Jordan, now you can't go anywhere without knowing his name. And that's because in the last moments of this game, he's able to bring a slam dunk. Remember, you heard me say slam dunk earlier. So he was able to bring this in and score and be a huge success. Now, most companies have a handful of exceptional employees, right? So now with these ice water traits, who routinely defy us to deliver a deal or close a sale. So you can say that Jim sold that car and he's got ice water in his veins. So when everybody else failed to do this, you can always count on Jim. So that's another way you can use. It's not just in sports, guys. So you can use a lot of the slang words in everyday speech. You can use some things that kind of gives uh, finesse, right? If you guys heard a couple of lessons ago, you heard me use that slang finesse to be smooth. You can make this very easy. You can make these words sound beautiful by using some of this slang. All right. So we'll go on to a couple of more. Hail Mary. It's honestly, Hail Mary is one of my personal favorites because it refers to American football. So a Hail Mary it's like a long shot. I'll explain just a little bit more. Now, when a football team is out of options, their back is against the wall, and it's the end of the half of the game. Their quarterback is the person that throws the ball. He'll throw a 60-yard prayer to the end zone. So it means last chance to do anything. It's like, for example, Hail Mary. It's like a religious term. You're praying, like, please, it's my only option. It's my last chance. Please make this work. They throw this, and if they get it, they win. If not, it's everything they had. So they'll throw a 60-yard prayer in a football game. It's 100 yards. So a 60-yard throw is a long distance. It's a long shot. And so it's like you may get it, you may not. Now the play has an extremely low success rate. So you're looking at like 10%, honestly, less than 5% actually. And businesses have adopted Hail Mary as a team to define the last resort tactic for salvaging or saving a situation or project. Now, the term entered modern lingo in like 1965, and that actually came about the Vikings and Cowboys game. Now, Green Bay Packers quarterback, his name's Aaron Rodgers, he's dubbed the king of the Hail Mary for success rate with that long shot pass. So, you guys, if Hail Mary, is there another way that you can say this for a success rate or for a long shot? What other kind of words can you use like Hail Mary, like a lost prayer? Like what are some things that you can use? Right? What kind of situations have you been in, honestly, that you needed that one good chance, that one opportunity out of a million to really make something successful. It's I think it's very important. Everyone needs a Hail Mary in their basket, right? So you need to have always give it your best and never give up. And I think that's a very cool thing. So you can say that when you're stressed and you don't have that ice water in your veins and you're sweating and you're looking for someone to save you, you need that Hail Mary. Like you're thinking, "Oh, I need a Hail Mary right now. How can I close this deal? How can I sell this car? How can I do this? I'm my last option, right? How can I make this interesting?" All right, I'm gonna give you guys one more as well, or at least maybe two more. A win is a win. Now, that's the next slang that we can use. Most teams must overcome errors and turnovers. A turnover is when you give something up, right? A turnover, because think of it, you're turning over, you're giving in, right? To secure a victory. So it's like taking a chance. Now, have you ever botched an assignment? And botch is where it means like you made a mistake. Where everything seems to be going haywire. And it's another slang, haywire. Haywire is like when everything's going wrong. Like no matter what you're doing, something's happening against you. But the result still makes the customer happy. Like, uh, for example, let's say that you're a waiter at a restaurant and you knocked over a glass of water, and a person had some dirt or something on their pants, and they couldn't get this off. They weren't able to get this clean, but this water was able to wash this off. Even though typically they could be upset because of this water, but if it washed this dirt off and it made them happy, like, oh wow, I got this off. Hey man, it's cool. This isn't like what this is. But so you know exactly a win is a win feels like, or when you do something like if you make an error on an assignment and you don't think you did so good, and your boss tells you this was amazing, I'm giving you a raise. It's like, huh, a win is a win. So it's like telling you that this error still makes a positive outcome, and it happens a lot in games, honestly. So one more, pass the baton. Working on a difficult team project or working on some things can really feel like a race, right? So to pass the baton refers to passing off part of the assignment, like a 400-meter Olympic relay race, right? Think of yourself as a cross-function. Cross-function means like you can do many things. Manager who needs to get approval from another person within the company. You're surely going to pass your part of the work to a different department. The feedback. Uh, so that's another thing that you'll see pass the baton, because in the relay race you're giving this. So it's a couple of um, it's just a couple of slang words that you can use in every day that you see in sports, but it gives you more insight of what these are, right? All right, so football, guys. Just have a couple of moments with football. Uh, I can cover more on this next time if you're interested as well. With football, again, it's like I told you, it's like soccer and hockey mixed with uh, a couple of different other sports. Honestly, it's very aggressive, and you'll see this again on the video with the memorable moments in Alabama history. Uh, I told you that it was about Alabama, right? So it's where I'm from. So to kind of show you how exciting it can be for us. But just to cover a couple of things too, we spoke about baseball, right? We spoke about the history and some cool, interesting facts. I told you about Babe Ruth, what he made. I explained a little bit of the dynamic of the sport for you guys. I shared with you some sports slang, right? So like ice in the veins or ice water in your veins, Hail Mary. Um, so far, do you guys have any questions with what I spoke about uh, with any of this? If not, I do want to encourage you to find the song "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." And if you want to know more information, let us know in the chat box too. And maybe I can take another lesson and explain more about football. Or maybe, for example, if you guys want to know about another American sport, like basketball, if you want to know more about tennis, let us know, and that way I can build this lesson for you guys or this webinar for you. Uh, so we spoke about sports slang, maybe food next time, right? So maybe next time we're talking about some sport food that we have as well, or maybe we can even go into some more rules if that's what interests you. If you want to know like how the sport's done, but check out the song because I think the song will kind of tell you like how much people enjoy this, as well as I'll find some more songs for you guys too. Uh, Not just with sports, but maybe some uplifting moments, some songs that really was part of history. Some songs that took people from, or American people from some sad moments, right? For example, some songs came out during September 11th when this happened. There's songs during the farming crisis back in the 40s, in the 50s of America. There's songs that really built this. For example, when um, like as far as freedom, right? As far as like during some of the wars that America's been in, for example, like the Vietnam War. I can share some songs that brought people from this depressed, and I could really break these songs down and explain what they're telling as well. But I do want to thank you guys for listening, and be sure to let me know what you think in the chat box, what you want to hear the next lesson, or some interesting facts that you want to know about America. But thank you all for for listening to me. I hope it was interesting for you. I know I get excited speaking about this because I can reminisce or remember about doing these sports and watching, and really these sports have really defined moments for America. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I can't wait to speak to you next time, uh, next Thursday at 8 o'clock. Be sure to check in. I'll have some cool, interesting facts and some things that can help you understand. Uh, Anna, Victoria, y'all have a great night, and I can't wait to see you next time.